application of garbage. Garbage is used for it is several products without sewage. The garbage and waste disposal is currently in the nature and water environment.
Papa, what is that? What is segregation?
Waste segregation is the process by which waste is separated into different elements. Waste segregation can occur manually at the household and collected through curbside collection schemes or automatically separated in materials recovery facilities. Waste has been quite a hot topic these days as retailers, businesses, and individuals are putting into place a range of different measures to tackle this waste generation problem. We are all consumers in a way and will definitely produce waste either directly or indirectly. Currently, about 2.01 billion metric tons of municipal solid waste are produced annually worldwide. The World Bank estimates overall waste generation will increase to 3.4 billion metric tons by 2050. An estimated 13.5% of today's waste is recycled and 5.5% is composted. It is also estimated that between 1/3 and 40% of waste generated worldwide is not managed properly and instead dumped or openly burned. This happens in most developing countries. Segregation of our waste is essential as the amount of waste being generated today causes immense problems. Some of the effects of not segregating our waste is that it affects human health, especially garbage collectors and waste pickers that might hurt themselves or get infections due to cuts from sharp objects. Huge amount of waste also increases the emission of greenhouse gases, especially methane gas during decomposition. In the long run, this can cause global warming and climate change. Soil contamination also happens when hazardous waste or substances are spilled on the ground, and things get worse when it rains, as these leachate infiltrate the ground and seep into the groundwater, which is the water that we drink. And this also causes water pollution and affects the marine life. So, it is important to segregate our waste. Some of the importance of segregating our waste is that it can greatly reduce the amount of waste dumped in landfill, thus reducing odor in landfill and increase the lifespan of the landfill. It also improves public health as it minimizes the spread of infection. By segregating our waste, it makes recycling easier as waste are segregated into their elements, and this will not only save the environment but also save us money. We can prevent so many types of pollution by segregating our waste. Segregated waste is also often cheaper to dispose of because it does not require as much manual or mechanical sorting as mixed waste. Many other countries have started to put an effort to managing their waste. The shortage of landfill capacity in the 1980s, coupled with the realization that we need to curb our use of natural resources and energy, prompted the development of a modern waste management system in Germany. The waste management policy, which has been adapted in Germany over the past 20 years, is based on closed cycles and assigns disposal responsibilities to manufacturers and distributors of products. This has made people even more aware of the necessity to separate waste, led to the introduction of new disposal technologies and increased recycling capacities. Waste management in Germany has evolved into a large and powerful economic sector. There are more than 270,000 people working in some 11,000 companies with an annual turnover of around 70 billion euros. More than 15,500 waste management facilities help to conserve resources through recycling and other recovery operations. Germany has now ranked at the top in recycling rates around the world. Germany's high recycling rates of 67% for household waste, around 70% for production and commercial waste, and almost 90% for construction and demolition waste speak for themselves. So now we will have Justus from Germany to let us know more about waste segregation in Germany.
Hallo, mein Name ist Justus. Ich studiere Informatik an der TUM in Deutschland. Also es gibt Biomüll, Papiermüll, Restmüll und den gelben Sack. Der gelbe Sack ist manchmal auch eine gelbe Tonne. Es kommt darauf an, wo man wohnt. In den gelben Sack soll man Verpackungsmüll, zum Beispiel aus Aluminium oder Plastik, und auch Tetrapack-Kartons, wie zum Beispiel Milchkartons, reintun. Und kleine Styroporteile kommen auch rein. Interessant ist dann auch noch das duale System. Unter dem System wird Verpackungsmüll von den Firmen. Als Resultat haben sich dann die Lebensmittelhersteller zusammengetan und dafür Subunternehmen gegründet. Der gelbe Sack wird aber letztendlich vom anderen Müll, zusammen mit dem anderen Müll, mit der Müllabfuhr mitgenommen. Manche Gemeinden in Süddeutschland, unter anderem auch wo ich studiere, haben keinen gelben Sack, weil die Stadt Angst hat, dass die Leute dann kleinere Restmülltonnen benutzen und den Restmüll dann in den gelben Sack stecken, was dann natürlich billiger wäre. In München zum Beispiel ist es so gedacht, dass man den Müll für den gelben Sack selbst zu einer Müllsammelstelle bringt. Aber ich kenne keinen, der das wirklich macht, und fast jeder benutzt dafür eigentlich den Restmüll. Glas, was dann nicht im Pfandsystem vorkommt, also nicht Flaschen, muss man zu Containern bringen. Normalerweise werden da auch Glasfarben unterschieden und neben den Glascontainern stehen dann auch oft Altkleidercontainer. Für großen Müll muss man zum Wertstoffhof fahren. Das muss man dann normalerweise auch selbst sortieren, aber es gibt dann überall Schilder, auf denen steht, was wohin gehört. Und meistens fährt man da dann halt hin, um großen Elektroschrott oder auch Gartenmüll loszuwerden. Also Flaschen sind erstmal separat von allem anderen. Genau, also unser Pfandsystem ist recht einzigartig. Also wann immer man eine Flasche oder Dosen kauft, muss man Pfand bezahlen, das man beim Zurückbringen dann zurückbekommt. Das ist eigentlich relativ einfach, weil man beim Einkaufen dann einfach die alten Flaschen meistens am Eingang vom Supermarkt dann zurückgeben kann. In regelmäßigen Abständen kommt dann die Müllabfuhr zum Haus oder zum Mietshaus und nimmt den Müll mit. Normalerweise platziert man die Tonnen und die Säcke dann auf der Straße oder auf dem Gehsteig vor dem Haus. Aber ich bin mir nicht sicher, ob das gesetzlich so vorgeschrieben ist. Zu Hause haben die meisten dann für jede Tonne, die es gibt, einen Müllbeutel. Man kann den Biomüll auch selbst kompostieren. Wenn einem das Haus gehört, muss man die Mülltonnen auch selber mieten. Für Mietshäuser gibt es meistens große Container im Müllbereich. Ich bin mir aber nicht wirklich sicher, was nach der Müllabfuhr mit dem Müll passiert. Es kommt, denke ich, darauf an, wo man wohnt. Bei uns zum Beispiel wird der Müll verbrannt und in Warmwasser umgewandelt. Wenn man ein Haus kauft oder baut, bekommt man eine Broschüre mit allen wichtigen Informationen für wo man wohnt. Das kann man aber oft auch online nachschauen. Jede Gemeinde ist dann selbst verantwortlich für ihre Mülltrennung und normalerweise wird das per Ausschreibung an ein drittes Unternehmen dann übertragen. Also im Prinzip basiert das ganze System darauf, dass man die Mülltonnen mieten muss und sonst wird der Müll einfach nicht mitgenommen. Aber es gibt zum Beispiel auch Strafen für Falschtrennung, also zum Beispiel 50 €, wenn man zum ersten Mal falsch trennt, und dann bis zu 5.000 € für Wiederholungstäter. Die meisten, wenn man falsch trennt, kann die Müllabfuhr das halt auch einfach verweigern. Und dann ist es nicht wirklich auch im eigenen Interesse, da faul zu sein, weil man dann sonst einfach auf einer vollen Tonne sitzen bleibt, fühlen soll. Aber das ganze System ist eigentlich relativ simpel und man muss nur darauf achten, dass man die Müllabfuhr nicht verpasst. Also super schwer ist es nicht.
South Korea has emphasized waste management system since 1995 by introducing Waste Control Act. The Korean government also implemented the volume-based waste fee system to reduce the quantity of waste and increase the rate of recycling. In addition, starting from 1997, food waste separation became mandatory. As a result, South Korea is the third leading country in recycling, with the highest recycling rate at 53.7% in 2018. The government has also set a goal to accomplish 3% landfill rate and 87% of recycle rate by 2020. So now, we will have Siti Nurdaya from South Korea to let us know more about waste segregation in Korea.
안녕하세요. 말레이시아에서 온 24살 시티노히다야입니다. 저는 아산시 선문대학교 치위생학과 4학년 재학 중인 유학생이고 현재 대학교 기숙사에 살고 있습니다. 한국 정부 저청장학생으로 한국에 왔고 올해 한국에 온 지 5년째입니다. Right after we arrived, we had several orientation sessions with the sponsors, the university, and also the Students' Council. So we received a lot of information from those stations, including the waste segregation system here in Korea. There are two types of garbage bags here in Korea, the general waste bag and the food waste bag. Both of these garbage bags are varied in colors according to the districts. The difference is that you have to separate the food waste and the general waste according to the type of bags, and you are not allowed to mix them together in one bag. General waste, food waste, recyclable waste, and large waste object. General waste is basically all that doesn't fit in the recyclables or food waste category. It includes used tissue, used toilet paper, sanitary pads, old shoes, and clothes. Organic waste or food waste should be dried out before disposal. In general, food waste constitutes anything that could be fed to livestock. Objects such as fruit stones, bones, nutshells, and tea bags should be placed in the general waste bag. Paper, glass, steel, fabrics, and plastics are recycled here in Korea, though recycling arrangements vary from place to place. Recycling must always be separated into types and compressed or flattened before disposal. In large buildings, recyclables must be separated into specific communal bins. Large waste objects such as bicycles and televisions will be collected if left in the general collection area with the correct large object disposal sticker attached to them. Large object disposal stickers of these types can be bought at district offices. They have been emphasizing about this since the very first day we are here, and if we don't follow the rules, our waste will not be collected, and plus there's a possibility for us to be sued, so I think we have no choice but to implement it. But for me, I don't find it difficult because I prefer to dispose my waste in a cleaner and more organized way by separating them and by not mixing them together in one bag. From my opinion, we can actually implement this system in Malaysia, and it will be as effective as Korea if we add certain amount of penalties or fines for those who refuse and by not accepting the waste in a non-standard bag. Plus, increasing the number of 24 hours convenience stores and allowing the normal small marts to sell the waste bags will make it easier for the residents to purchase them. I hope Malaysia can take Korea as an example in terms of waste segregation for us to live in a better, cleaner, and earth-friendly environment. Thank you.
Over the past decade, Taiwan has been known as a densely populated garbage island, and today, Taiwan has the highest recycling rate in Asia and has become one of the worldwide leaders in recycling. Walking on the streets of Taipei City, it's hard to see any trash or even garbage bins around. The situation is so different from 30 years ago, where this island had a trash collection rate of just 70%. Virtually no waste was recycled. Now, it has an impressive recycling rate of 55% and recycles 73% of its plastic, surpassing the US 35% and keeping abreast with a few other high recycling rate countries. The daily waste disposal per person decreased from 1.14 kg in 1998 to 0.39 kg in 2013. The waste recycling rate increased from 5.9% in 1998 to 55% in 2015. The lead battery recycling increased from 68% in 2000 to 95% in 2014. So now, we will have Yue Xuan from Malaysia, who is currently studying in Taiwan, to let us know more about waste segregation in Taiwan.
Basically, the system where they dispose rubbish is quite similar with Malaysia, whereas there are trucks that will be coming over to every neighborhood at a scheduled time. Basically, the truck will come over and they will collect the trashes for every family. So basically, everyone had to line up and wait for the truck to come over, and they will throw it into the trash can, the trash truck basically, and you have to do it by yourself. So everyone over here is trained to do that on their own. It's not in Malaysia where someone will help you collect the rubbish. No, you have to do it by yourself. Basically, the two trucks, they collect different stuff. There is one that collects solely the recyclable items only, for instance, paper. And another category is the normal trash or like sanitary. And they also have sort of like a bin on the unrecyclable item truck on that side. They also have that bin collecting kitchen waste as well. So they separate kitchen waste from normal trash. So like for instance, for my state, we only use it's like for each state they only accept certain color. The garbage bag of certain color and only use that plastic bag when you are trying to dispose your garbage. And for different states and different places, you use different plastic bags, and all of them they come in different sizes. So it's like they have tiny bags, they have slightly bigger, and they have like maybe human-sized bags that big. And of course, all of them, the prices they differ as well. So the bigger the plastic bags, the more expensive they are. So I think it's sort of like another way for them to control the amount of garbages that are produced by the families as well. Honestly, if you want to say recycling bins, it's sort of like, it's not just recycling bins itself, it's a matter of trash can. I think it's basically the same as Malaysia. It's like, maybe if you are from a more urban place, then of course there are more trash cans and stuff that are provided everywhere. It's like you can see it everywhere. And from my experience, I've been to two different places over here. It's like I've been to Taipei and I have been to Taichung. The places that I often visit to are tourist hotspots. So, of course, because it's a touristy place, so there are quite a lot of trash cans that are provided. What they are implementing over here is that they are actually educating their children since they're young to be familiar with the rules, to be familiar with what you are to do, what you should not do, and stuff like that. Because I have asked a few of my Taiwanese friends, and most of them told me that it's almost a very crucial part of their maybe like childhood or maybe elementary or high school years, where all of them, they actually are taught to to differentiate their waste. A friend of mine, I think I heard her saying that ever since she was small, when maybe like even in their preschool years, they had to write their names on food containers so that the teachers can make sure that every single person, they are properly disposing their recyclables or their garbage. So it's very strict for them, and this thing is practiced ever since they're young. So I think it's deeply ingrained in their mind. Another thing is that I think they practiced a system of reward and punishment. I think I heard my friend saying that if you gather the batteries and you bring it to, I don't know, somewhere like 7-Eleven or something, and then to a certain amount you can exchange for something. I'm not really sure what it is. I think you can get some cash back or like exchange for something of the same price or something like that. I would say that Taiwan is quite advanced in the sense of segregating waste and the whole recycling and eco-friendly stuff, because their civilians are quite aware of what they should do or what they should not do. But at the same time, there are, of course, people who wouldn't follow the rule barrel. So I think in a sense, they are quite advanced and they are quite well progressed. But I think like educating since young is very crucial. But I think that they are a lot stricter in the sense because they punish their kids, and like they almost have like a tiny recycling stop in most schools where kids have to like bring their trash and then they have to segregate them and then they have to bring it to the station and then dispose it as accordingly. So I think that systematic is something we can aspire to achieve.
Population in Shanghai recorded over 24 million residents in 2019. They generated about 26,000 tons of waste daily. To address the issues of large amount of waste and limited landfill space, the Shanghai Household Waste Management Regulation is enforced on July 1st, 2019. This is to ensure that the citizens are following the rules in sorting household waste. A fine of RMB 50 to 200 would be imposed to individuals who refuse to sort their waste accordingly. Now, we are having Al here, who is a citizen of Shanghai, to share with us regarding their waste segregation.
嗨，大家好，我是来自上海的艾丽。上海市的居民是把垃圾分为4类，首先第一类就是干垃圾，然后是湿垃圾、可回收垃圾，还有有害垃圾。我们在家里先进行一次初步分类，然后再把它放到社区的一个分类站点进行第2次分类。在上海市的可回收垃圾，据我所知应该是4类，一类是纸张类，就是像纸板箱啊，然后废旧报纸。然后还有就是金属类，就是比如说像铁、可回收铜之类的。然后还有一个是可回收玻璃制品，还有就是可回收塑料类制品。因为它是进行一个全市推广的，所以所有的公共场合，然后所有的医院单位，然后个人家庭单位，它都是一视同仁的，都是实行一样的一个分类机制。上海市在就是刚刚推行这个政策的初期，它是安排了很多志愿者在那个社区站点手把手的教你们如何进行分类，然后它还是分发了许多宣传册到挨家挨户去让大家去进行一个科普，还有就是说它还通过了像微博啊、像微信公众平台这种官方频道去大力的推广。上海市有很多学校，它会开那个讲座，然后邀请那些垃圾分类的宣传员，他到学校去进行一个宣讲，还有就是分发宣传手册这样的。
With the enforcement of regulation and efforts of all parties, the average amount of recyclables collected daily in 2019 increased by 431.8% as compared to 2018. This had significantly reduced the city's residual waste, which initially ended up in landfills. With fast-growing cities and ballooning population, developing countries like Malaysia are facing numerous challenges in sustainably managing their waste. The waste generated in Malaysia in 2005 was 19,000 tons per day, and the quantity rose to 38,000 tons per day 13 years later in 2018. This is alarming as the rate has exceeded the Japan International Cooperation Agency study's proposed rate of 30,000 tons per day in the year 2020. With limited space for landfills and rising costs of disposal, there is increased pressure and urgent need to tackle the waste management issue and reduce the impact on the environment and general well-being of the population. So today we will have Professor Dr Sumiani Yusof, Director of the Institute of Ocean and Earth Sciences of University of Malaya, Chairperson of Eco Campus Secretariat and Living Lab, and Principal Coordinator of Zero Waste Campaign of University of Malaya, to share on her views on the waste segregation practice in Malaysia.
The waste segregation policy in Malaysia, actually there is already a mandatory law by the government, you know, right, under the Solid Waste and Public Cleansing Management Act 2007, Act 672 they call it, and it was already enforced, passed in Parliament starting 2015. 7 states and federal territory, Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya, Johor, Melaka, Negeri Sembilan, Pahang, Kedah and Perlis has already adopted, meaning it has to be enforced there lah, has to be implemented lah. And the act actually it's to provide regulate management of control solid waste and public cleansing for the purpose of maintaining proper sanitation and for matters related to incidental and also public cleansing. And as you know, the process of separating of recyclables or solid waste at source involves separating waste according to the different criteria. And in Malaysia, we don't really have detailed separation criteria, but we just have recyclables and non-recyclables. So recyclable, anything they have educated lah, I think, with the awareness of that. Recyclables are like papers, pet bottles, glass, what else, cardboards, But in fact, even including green waste. And most of the time, the collection is done weekly, either 2+1, means 2 normal, 1 is a recyclable schedule collection. Supposedly it has been done, but like I said, even though we have law governing it, and initially there was a lot of hype about it, and the countries that adopt have to implement, and they have already implemented, but I think to a certain extent it's not really widespread, because now I don't really see it being done systematically and very vigorously. People who are used to it still do it, and I think their local authorities still do carry out the 2+1, but it's not very visible and it's not really highlighted in the sense that those who do not do are punished or are fined. So the complacency sets in. So a lot of people who does it feel that maybe it's not really that important and there's no regulation and enforcement. So eventually they falter and they go back to the normal way of throwing waste, where they just dump everything together. Because we are not really conditioned and also molded through effective implementation, and more importantly is actually the enforcement. We need to say, for those who do not do, there have to be strict enforcement and penalty. Then only everyone will actually toe the line. So even though you have a law, even though you encourage people, but if you don't enforce, eventually people will take the easy way out and go back to their old habits of just dumping everything and not separating at source. Because even though it's not that difficult, but it takes extra effort. So why would people want to take the extra effort, so they take the easy way out. So separation at source is very important. To me, it's crucial. It is basically the first tenet of a good, integrated and sustainable waste management. So if our country wants to push for this agenda seriously, before you can manage systematically, professionally and create value from your waste, you must do separation at source. Because otherwise, if you do not do separation at source, if you have commingled waste, what happens is your waste all becomes useless and it just becomes pollution problem. But the moment you do separation at source, you are not just preventing disposal of recyclable materials which have got value and can actually be reused, recycled and so on. You also reduce the amount of waste going to landfill, because currently in Malaysia, landfill is the most prevalent way of us dumping our waste. And I think everyone knows that the dumping site and also landfill in Malaysia are all choked up and we are running out of space. So imagine if we could actually divert the recyclables from going to the landfill, how much space we can save and how much environmental protection we can promote. There are many other reasons but at the end of the day, it is actually reducing environmental burden, reducing environmental pollution, lowering carbon footprint, lowering and not emitting greenhouse gas. The best part is waste that is separated is value, is money. It has got value. Okay, so the moment you don't do separation at source, you are just wasting the precious resource and the potential of the waste and create a lot of environmental burden. Unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, even though we've already got our Act 672 that says that we are supposed to do separation at source, and the Act actually stipulates that it's compulsory for residents to separate their waste according to the recyclable, which is paper, plastics and others. And there is actually supposedly also fines that will be imposed if people do not do it. But despite that, I think from report, is very prevalent that our recycling rate in Malaysia is still very low. Some say it's about 10%, 11%. Latest I heard is saying that it's up to 22%, which I'm still very doubtful, because I feel that the recycling rate of Malaysians are very low, and this is because the waste segregation behavior or separation at source is still not very popular, not very prevalent. And in fact, this is supported by studies that has been done, even in Putrajaya, where they had this very systematic waste management system. When they did the survey, more than almost 30% say they never segregate their waste, and that is coming from urban, affluent area, and Putrajaya is supposed to be the model city that practices recycling and also separation at source. So you can imagine in the rest of the country lah. Basically, it all boils down to behavior, the laissez-faire attitude or tidak apa attitude, which is very prevalent amongst Malaysians. And I think it's also still low awareness, and reluctant to participate, and also because behavior of Malaysians that always feel that in order for them to do something, there have to be some proper reward mechanism. So I think at individual level, awareness is still low, and this attitude problem, tidak apa attitude, as long as the waste is not in my backyard, I don't care what happens to it. And at the community levels, I think there's also a lack of coherent integration and awareness among community leaders and so on, who should actually be propagating this awareness and also this good behavioral change. In terms of government, there has been some efforts by the government, except unfortunately they are not sustainable. So those initiatives that was conducted over the years, we have had a few recycling campaigns over the years, but it's mostly ad hoc. It's done ad hoc. It's not followed through seriously, and there's no continuous, and more importantly, there's no strict enforcement of the regulation. So lack of monitoring is also a problem. Yeah. So when government implement initiative, there has to be continuous monitoring. Yeah. So that it will be followed up with enforcement, and it has to be continuously propagated to the public, so that it's not a one-off program. Yeah? So these are also part of the reasons why it's not really successful. And the other main reason is because whilst we are doing all the initiatives, it's not brought into the mainstream, meaning to say it's not as a continuous and important agenda that has to be followed through. It's only like a program. Once a minister or somebody initiated, and the moment the person goes off, it falters. So this is the non-integration and non-sustainability of the programs that the government has tried to implement, right? Basically, we don't have to invent the wheel. We've already got the Act 672 that already gives and governs authority to the government and to the local authorities to actually implement and enforce the separation at source. So what the government should do if we want to actually improve separation at source, and also ensure that more people, the community and the citizens are abiding to the regulation, they should actually re-emphasize on Act 672 and make it mainstream. Make it mainstream government agenda, not just under KPKT or the Ministry of Housing and Local Government, but make it an agenda, national agenda, and it has to be re-emphasized and restructured so that strict enforcement is carried through. Okay, and I think very importantly also, there has to be champions and strong leadership to not just revive but to enhance the program again. And I think to educate people, we still have to do continuous education and awareness program that has to be ongoing, not just for the government officials but for law enforcers, for community leaders, for the citizens and the public, right? And the government should also increase the awareness and publicity to make people more conscious about this responsibility, because this is a basic responsibility that all Malaysians should actually be doing. And for the government and the ministry, the policy should actually be retained and continuously pursued irrespective of who be the next minister and whether it's the next change of government. This policy must be continued and made mainstream. Okay, and on top of that, they should actually enhance the performance of the program by probably integrating technology or integrating IR 4.0 or IoT, to manage waste more efficiently.
Pas hari itu Papa ada Rauda nak asingkan sampah. Jom tengok dah buat. Ni tempat Rauda asingkan sampah. Ni kertas. Ni plastik, dua-dua ni plastik. Lepas tu ni tin. Sekarang Rauda ada tin, Surah masukkan dalam tin. Kawan-kawan pun kena bersihkan kawasan rumah untuk bersihkan bumi. Bye!
In conclusion, we are all generators of waste and should take responsibility segregating our waste. We need to first make it a habit to segregate our own waste at home. After practicing it, we can then spread awareness to our neighbors or relatives. It might be seen as a small effort and not significant, but these small steps can lead to big changes as more people start segregating their waste. Let us together strive to build a better Malaysia for generations to come.